Thank you. So, welcome and Happy New Year to all of you. And I'm delighted to see so many new faces here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, one gentleman, I'm not sure whether the other one has left, scared off. So, welcome to everybody. I have a few things to announce. First of all, I'm Sabi Bowers, I'm the vice chair. I'm kind of chairing this meeting today, and we have lost control over our microphone, I'm afraid. So you will have to rely on Annette, our speaker today, to have a very strong voice. If you have hearing problems, I would suggest there are seats in the front, still available. So if that is required, then please sit in the front if you find it easier to listen from there. I'm sorry, it's a technical glitch. We didn't plan on that. So I'd like next to say hello to the new people. I have met one new lady who signed up today, Isabel. I can't see you. Hello, Isabel. Do you want to say hello to anybody? Just quickly say hi, or who you are, or are you shy? Do you prefer not to say hi? I'm Isabel.
Where are you from?
Because I'm from
England.
Ah.
Great. How did you find out about us?
Facebook, and then I went to the little meeting in the cafe.
Oh, good. Cool. The newcomer meeting.
I went there.
Wonderful.
These are the things we want to know. Where you're from. Talk about how wonderful England is.
Really?
That's probably more likely to harass you if you came from the west coast of the United States. Somebody else might be from England.
Is anybody else from England?
Yes. Awesome. I don't know who else might be new in the club because we have so many faces in the club. Club members. You're new. You joined the club. Awesome. Welcome. I don't know your name. Get up.
Hi, I'm Anja. I'm actually German, but married to a British guy. I lived in England for a long time.
Yeah,
before moving back here to Germany.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Thank you very much, and thank you to all the joiners who come specifically to hear Annette. If any of the ladies wishes to join, of course, we'd be very pleased after this meeting. But it's not obligatory. But this is generally a good sort of way to get to know the club. So I would like to remind you all that we have next month the annual general meeting where the new chair will be elected or announced. You should all have received the information by email. If you haven't, then please get in touch with Denise and we'll resend. But you should have all the minutes, the agenda, and the budget, etc. already in your mailbox. I would also like to remind you that in the AGM we will have tables by all the teams, or by most of the teams at least, recruiting volunteers, telling you all about their team, what the team does, what a new volunteer would be doing if we need any new volunteers. So if you're part of a team, then please remember to come on that day prepared with a little table that you can, or not with a table, obviously. You don't have to bring the table with you. But just be prepared to man the table to talk about your team activities and what you would want the volunteer to be doing. A little bit of a job description if you want. And that brings me to the next point, the vacancy. We have one vacancy which urgently could do with filling, which is in the secretarial team of the committee meeting. We have one volunteer already for the evening slot, but she can only do evenings, she cannot come during the day. So if you want to get involved in our committees, in our teams, and find out what the club is all about, what we're doing behind the scenes, join the committee and become a secretary. So that's just taking minutes. It's really not a terribly odious job, once every 2 months at most. So then talk to me if you are interested. Okay, I'd also like to announce that we have, of course, the speaker's daughter Eliza has delightfully said she would man the table where she's selling some of Annette's books, and Annette will explain more about that. And we have, of course, here our book exchange. If you're interested in bringing any new books or want to pick up some new books against a small donation, then that's your place to go. Finally, auction of talents. We have Renee and Annette here who will be talking to you about auction of talents. Please come.
Can we know?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. I know we're going to go on about this for a little while longer, so just a little reminder. Since it's a new year, you finished feasting. We've had lots of bazaars and Christmas lunches, so now it's time to focus on the AGM, but also on the auction of talent. We've had some wonderful ideas already. There's lots of you saying you have ideas. Now's the time we ask you to please put it on paper or on the online form. And Renee's going to tell you where it is. Is she?
Oh yeah, the online form. So you sign in, everyone signs in, you get into, but you do need to go into the members area. And then as soon as you come to the members front page, there are 3 blue banners. And the auction of talent is the large one. It's coming up, it's coming up. See, just go right in there, and you'll find the form, you'll find more descriptions. Denise's letter the announcement last month also had links to that, and that's where you can fill it out very clearly. And if you need any help, just email AOT, Auction of Talent. That's a website that you'll see also on that page, and we can also discuss some options.
AOT at miwc.club, is it?
Exactly.
Yes. And for those who are new, because I understand there are quite a few, we did send out an email a little while ago with all the information, and there's a button on there for the online form. Now this email is on that tab that Renee just mentioned, but to just quickly say what it is we're asking people who have a talent, an idea, that they would like to share with everybody. So, for example, we've had in the past,
Let me see, I have them too. Haircut, jewelry making,
oh yeah, tons, lovely. Many walks and dinners,
cooking demonstrations,
singing lessons,
painting and art lessons.
weaving, which we're getting back again, right, Anitra? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, the tour of Diesen ceramic market, that was really cool with you and Cecily.
Yeah.
That was way cool.
And that's also another point. You do not need to do this on your own. You can be 2 of you. Join, half the work, double the fun. But basically it is offering something that will give us time to spend time together, an opportunity to spend time together. We will then auction it off. The auction of talents is on Wednesday, 12th of March. So it's like a regular monthly meeting, except it starts at 9:30.
9:30.
I know.
9:30.
We have normally so many offers,
Okay.
and we will go until 12:30.
Okay.
But we do have refreshments in between, so you'll be there. If you have any questions, write to us at
AOT.
At miwc.club.
Yay! Are there any questions at this stage? Otherwise, we will hand over.
Okay,
No
any
questions?
questions?
I want to see.
Oh, and sorry, one more thing. Photos. We're including photos this year. If, for example, if you're offering a Mexican dinner, if you have a photo of a Mexican flag, food, whatever it is, give it to us and we'll put it in there, and with the time things will be coming up and we will change the website and you will see some of the photos. For example, we've got the sailing day out already, we've got a lovely sailboat there. It will be coming in the next couple of weeks. But if you have any photos to go along with your offer, please send them to us, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's a wonderful segue because I had actually meant to say something about photos. Eliza will be walking around taking pictures of people, of the audience as well. So please, if you don't want to be on a photo, please make sure you're kind of letting Eliza know, or avert your face or whatever. Hide under the table, chair, whatever you can do. Okay, without further ado then. Good morning, and I'm really happy to introduce our speaker, Annette Morheng. She's a professional, she's a photojournalist and a book writer, and she has prepared a wonderful topic. And rather than me sort of second guessing what the topic is, I'm looking forward to hearing from Annette about this. And since I've been to China, I really look forward to putting that into my memory bank and understanding what I've taught. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much everybody for coming and joining, giving me the chance to present my book and the topic. Am I speaking loud enough now?
A little bit more.
A little bit more? Okay, please remind me with like this thumb up if I'm going down because I'm focusing too much with the voice on the topic.
Okay.
Very much appreciated. I'm here with my daughter Eliza. Her university will only start in 1 week again in London, so I'm happy that she assists me. The topic of today's book, the book is called Harmony of Colors. It's written in 2 languages, so it's in German and in English, translated on each page. Is Harmony of Colors, and in detail it's about the color symbolism that you'll encounter in the everyday life in China, and which also, according to my personal perception, really formed the Chinese mentality. So I would like now to invite you to start the presentation with a short musical introduction, but before I do that, it would maybe also help for the sound if we close the entrance door, if that's okay with everybody. You can still leave if you want to. It will take about 30 to 40 minutes, and then we have a lot of time for questions and answers if you want to. Okay. So we now, in this short little musical introduction, reach the south of China. We are here in Yunnan province at a lake called the Black Dragon Lake, and it's situated in front of the Jade Dragon Mountain. And first of all, I love this area of China, but second, I love the allusions to the dragons. And I continue with the third dragon. We are, as probably some of you know, this year in the year of the dragon, more in detail in the wood dragon year. And in China, it is common use that the person who is born in the year of the actual zodiac sign has to wear something red. I'm not a dragon, it's just coincidence. Has to wear something red, which is often done by underwear, so you don't have to wear red obviously every day to prevent evil or misfortune. This leads to a very nice view if you walk through the traditional quarters in the preparation of the Chinese New Year, which will now in 29th of January will happen again and change into the year of the snake. So watch out if you are born in that year to wear something red, which happens then to me. Then you need to make sure that your red clothes is ready for wearing. So while people are drying sausages or fish, you'll find the underwear garments also hanging in the... Yeah, that was a little bit too fast. Okay, but anyway, I just wanted to go on now and introduce myself. I'm a Luxembourgish national, lived in Munich actually for about 25 years, studied here science of communication and psychology of work and organization, but I worked always as a journalist, also photographer, but mainly in the last few years as an intercultural trainer. I'm married to an Italian-German husband, and we lived 10 years in China, Beijing, and currently we are living in India, in Bangalore, since 2.5 years, and ongoing. My daughter Eliza is here, she studies in London, and my son is working in London. So that's for me. At the end of the presentation, I will have my contact details here on the wall, so if you want to get in contact with me, then just take a picture, you can reach out to me. Okay, so I want to open today with you the Chinese color box with my personal comments. So always be aware it's my personal view, but it's also my experience that I had with a lot of heartwarming encounters and many deep friendships with Chinese people in the 10 years. I have about 30 minutes, which I will fill with talking to you, and I will end of May give a full presentation about the topic again in Munich, but inform the audience here, so if somebody is interested in more detail. The book is here and available at the end. If you want to have it, you can then purchase it at my daughter, and I can sign it for you personally. I will now start to have a look with you in the following topics. We start with the Tai Chi 2, the famous black and white round Asian symbol. We continue with the 5 elements. We go on with the imperial times and always relate how color relates to this Confucianism. We go on with the ethnic areas, just with some pictures. I need to skip that in order to really focus on the Chinese Han color symbolism, because there are 55 other ethnic areas and tribes. It's much too much detail and different color symbolism. You will find it in my book, and I go more into detail on this in another lecture. Then obviously we need to have a look into the yellow cradle of China, where all the color symbolism comes from and a lot of the mentality. Then we talk about Taoism, and in the essence I will explain to you how I see Chinese mentality and how I compare it with colors, and how the colors in Confucianism and in Taoism are perceived in a very different way, but then have exactly the same meaning, and that's what is the outcome of this, supposed to be the outcome of this conversation today. Okay. Here we have the Tai Chi 2, which is an excellent symbol, and which everybody, I think everybody has already seen, the black and white. I'll just have The animal, the national animal of China just sits there because I just think it fits perfectly to the Tai Chi too. So we have the black female yin, which includes the moon, darkness, silence, humidity and earth. And the male yang stands for the sun, light, movement, dryness and sky. This symbol is anchored in Taoism and Neo-Confucianism. It represents the unity of the complementary polarities. It's the base for all Chinese-Japanese spiritual traditions and the center of the color language symbolism. Alongside the element forces of yin and yang, we have Wu Xing, the 5 elements doctrine that has determined the cycle of Chinese life for thousands of years. Wu Xing is a philosophy that describes the relationship and interdependence between all things. Wu Xing is a philosophy about finding balance and about embracing the process. According to Wu Xing, the cosmos consists of wood, fire, earth, metal and water, and these 5 elements are in complex relationship within each other. And each element is assigned a color, so water is black, fire red, wood green, metal is white and the earth is yellow. But each element is not only represented by a color, but also by taste, by an organ, by a planet, by a symbolic animal, by a tone, and many more things. And all those elements interact with each other, and therefore these colors are symbols of constant change in the world. With these 5 elements, the basic Chinese colors have found their way into almost all areas of life in China, from the teachings of Feng Shui to Tai Chi Chuan and Qigong, from traditional Chinese medicine to philosophy and religion. The zodiac signs also derive from the natural philosophy of yin and yang and exist in the 5 elements. And in combination with the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 5 transformation phases result in a so-called 60s cycle. And this is one of the elementary categories for traditional timekeeping and calendar. And this is why we do not only have this year the year of the dragon, but we have the year of the wood dragon. And that's a very interesting distinction to, if you really want to look a little bit deeper on how the Chinese see the year and what they perceive for you, what personality you are, depending on when exactly you are born. And one very strange coincidence, I'd call it, or maybe for the Chinese it's very logical, is that the year of the metal rat traditionally is a very bad year. It happens obviously every 60 years only, and guess when? 2020, when COVID started, was the year of the metal rat. So the Chinese colors, they represent energies, cosmic cycles, dynasties, deities or planets. And for this reason, this is the zodiac signs. So we have here the dragon, followed now by the snake. And this is the wood dragon. For this reason, color glazes on ancient Chinese ceramics on roof tiles have deeper meanings. They may indicate the function of an object, its limited range of users, or represent a philosophical idea. For example, the gleaming yellow tiles were only allowed to be used in the center of Beijing at the Imperial Palace, finished in 1421, and other imperial buildings. That hasn't changed till today. But in 1421, the imperial city was called Zhejiangcheng, translated Purple Forbidden City. The naming and color symbolism of this huge architectural complex, called today the National Palace Museum, could not be more enigmatic at the same time. the name and the choice of the color purple, which you see surrounding, that's the color they called purple, the color you see it on the walls and you see it here on the pillars. This color can be traced back to a star cult that prevailed China even before Taoism. So the god Hokushin represents the deification of the North Star. And the North Star played a key role in astronomy and mythology of China. In Chinese astronomy, the sky is divided into 5 regions, the 4 cardinal regions and the center. The region which is in the middle, in the center, is the North Star region. And this region is also known as the purple forbidden enclosure. It's a ring of 15 stars which surround the North Star. And due to the fact that all other constellations rotate around it, the North Star is seen as the supreme deity and rules over all the universe. And this celestial center is represented by the Emperor on Earth. Thus the Forbidden City is the home of the Emperor of Earth. And that's why we have these 2 colors here. And that's also where the name comes from. Not because of the fact that nobody was allowed into the Forbidden City. It really, if you trace it back, comes from this star cult. The North Star belief in China was later superimposed by the Taoist concept of the Taijitsu, the Great One. It's in the sense of an earthly reflection of the prevailing order in the universe that the Emperor symbolizes the North Star and the palace now the Forbidden City enclosure. In the cityscape of modern China, the crimson, here you see again the National Palace. The crimson red hue explicitly refers to historically significant buildings and stands out from the neighboring uniform grey of historic one-story residential areas. Here, another very important building in the center of Beijing, the Temple of Heaven, with the brilliant blue and green glazed roof tiles. It's a representation of heaven and of the green trees, the wood. And the whole complex there is considered as an architectural and design example of Chinese symbolism in shapes, colors, numbers rival each other in their expressiveness. The color messages, here you can see in more detail the blue tiles. The color messages were directed at the human observer and also for the gods. Each Chinese imperial dynasty chose one of the 5 elements and thus also a color as its dynastic symbol. Many official porcelains from the Yuan were white. The Ming and Qing dynasty chose yellow. The ceremonial robes also always corresponded to the color of the porcelain used. The Yellow Emperor himself, Huang Di, and his master Qi Bo, they were the authors of the oldest and still fundamental standard work for the traditional Chinese medicine, called the Yellow Emperor's Classic Work on Internal Medicine, describes the 5 main colors: green, white, red, black and yellow, and intermediate hues such as pink or blue. Those colors are still used in Chinese medicine for treatments. For example, using a food or an herb in a specific color to treat an associated disease. But the court ceremonies were also regulated by the Bible of Confucianism, the Book of Rites. Confucius described in this book social behavior and court ceremonies. He prescribed the main colors for the upper garment, the intermediate colors for the skirt. Therefore, the general perception of colors was strongly influenced by the strictly hierarchical Confucianism organization of life. Confucianism is an ancient Chinese belief system which focuses on the importance of personal ethic morality, whereas if it's a philosophy or religion is still debated. During the Sui and Tang dynasties, red and purple robes were reserved for high officials only, and the emperor only was allowed to dress in reddish yellow. Ordinary people had to wear white or ochre colors. Red as a symbol of fire and color to drive away bad influences was only allowed to be used at weddings and festivities. That is why it's said that the typical China red is still so popular throughout the country today. During the Qing dynasty, a certain shade of yellow was reserved only for the emperor and his family, and anybody who dared to take a Sunday stroll in a yellow dress was threatened with death penalty. In contrast, Chinese writers cultivated an aesthetics of simplicity. The literary practiced modern restraint. You will understand better why when we look later into the Taoist concept. It was not until the fall of the Qing dynasty, 1911, that color regulations were completely abolished. Color was no longer associated with hierarchy or rank, but became an object of personal preference. It was only since this time that the popular use of color and color combinations could develop independently and enrich itself anew. After the proclamation of the People's Republic, the revolutionaries now, yes. The revolutionaries made use of the old code of color assignment to visibly attract broad masses. They used the colors in different ways. Millions of men and women in China were prescribed. Try again. Yeah, were prescribed the blue Mao suit as a uniform dress by Sun Yat-sen during the Chinese Cultural Revolution in 1965. Mao Zedong and his wife Jiang Qing likewise wore it. Indigo color was chosen for the workers and peasants, khaki for the People's Liberation Army, and dove blue for the comrades in the party cadre. The red Mao booklet stood out from the unified image of the Chinese workers, who were called the Blue Ants by the West. Color as an accompanying mean of ideological leadership did not only exist in China. In England, King Richard I passed a law in 1197 forbidding ordinary people under penalty of law to wear any color other than grey. So in 2008, because of grey, shortly before the Olympic Games in China, all residents of the Hutongs, that is the traditional old city residential districts with single-story beautiful courtyard houses, were given a bucket of grey wall paint so that they could spruce up the houses in a uniform manner befitting their status. In autumn, the grey cityscape is crowned by the vibrant imperial yellow of the towering old ginkgo trees. This is some Hutong pictures, courtyard pictures. This is the ginkgo trees in the old residential areas. The Chinese proverb, heaven and earth of mysterious black, was rooted in the observation of that the northern sky was black. perhaps this explains why the color choice of the Yellow Emperor. He's called the Yellow Emperor, but when he went to go on the throne and got his coronation, you call that? Coronation, thank you. So guess what color he was wearing? He was called the Yellow Emperor, but he was wearing black. He chose black also as the color of his flags and pennants, the color of element water, the symbol of winter, the north, at the same time of honor and high dignity. But water also stands for peace, strength, and new beginnings. Later in history, Maoism, black represented counter-revolution in contrast to the red inherent in the system. Another important Chinese proverb about color is yellow creates yin and yang. It implies that yellow is the center of everything, thus the yellow roof on the imperial buildings. Yellow was the color of perfection and nobility. Yes. Beautiful fall ginkgo leaves. Yellow and red were compared to light and fire, spirituality and sensuality, seemingly opposites but actually complementary. Orange, the color of transformation, was born from the interaction between the two. A great diversity of colors, from a light orange, yellow, to a deep orange red, all of which are simply called saffron, is closely connected to Hinduism and Buddhism, and is commonly worn by monks and holy men throughout Asia. In Confucianism, it was the color of transformation. In China, the color got its name not from the orange fruit, but from saffron. Now, one of the most precious, as very difficult to get, is the color vermilion. A very specific reddish orange tone, which I always compared here to the persimmons, whereas the pastel variation is called coral. And one Chinese proverb says, you cannot touch vermilion, the mineral, without getting stained. It compares the mineral's rather limited firmness with the nature of the social interactions. You will find vermilion in combination with light blue on precious Buddhist paintings. Like up here, over here, the blue and the saffron color, vermilion color. This color combination was as much cherished and exclusive as gold and lapis lazuli color combination in medieval Christian paintings. Now we come to the Chinese color, red. It symbolizes luck, happiness, and wealth. It stands for the element fire, for summer in the south. No New Year's festival, no birthday would be complete without the red ornaments, red decorations, and red clothing. In the Hongbao, the red envelope, money is given as a present. But there's one thing where you really should avoid to have red on. You will never use your sign with a red pen, or you will never use red on your business card, because the names of the dead people are written in red in the books of the dead. So you should never use red for these things. Better ask a Chinese person if they like the design, and they will happily, but very friendly, make you aware of that mistake. However, the Chinese dragon, Nian, is scared of red. He's scared. In order to scare him, on Chinese New Year, fireworks are set off and red lanterns and banners decorate houses and streets. Since 1949, this is Chile, by the way. Since 1949, the red cloth with one large and four smaller yellow stars in the upper left corner has been the flag of the People's Republic of China. Red symbolizes both the Communist Revolution and the color of the historical Han Dynasty. The large star represents the Chinese Communist Party, while the four smaller stars represent the four social classes: workers, peasants, petty bourgeois, and so-called patriotic capitalists. Until 1912, a triangular yellow cloth, which I didn't find, I only found it in this way, with a blue Chinese dragon along, was the flag of the Qing dynasty. Its more modern rectangular variant was the national flag of China until then. And another very interesting one, which I skipped this one here. This one. Sometimes it does. Here. This flag was China's official flag between 1912 and 1949, the 5-color flag. And this, with its vibrant horizontal stripes, represent the people of China. The red is the Han Chinese, yellow are the Manchus, blue the Mongolians, black the Tibetans, and white are the Hui and the Uyghur. White is a color which should be used also carefully in China. When I first moved into the courtyard house in the old residential area, I had a beautiful white lantern and hang it outside the door because I didn't want to have red. Everybody had red. So I want to be special, so I put the white one, and the neighbors came and they gave me their condolences because they thought somebody died in the house because I had to wear the lantern outside. So I changed the very fast, my lantern. And I found the same about wrapping gifts. It's best to use gold or red as a wrapping paper, never use white. It's the color of mourning, it's associated with death. However, white is also the color of metal, an image of autumn harvest, the West, and it represents brightness, purity, and fulfillment. If you travel in the north, in the inner Mongolia, still in China, but in the north of China, white has a totally different meaning. White is a color of perfection. You can have wonderful names for white, and there you can also dress in white, but that's a totally different issue. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Let's focus on another color now. It's not really working anymore, this thing. We will talk about the color green. I'll just try to get the picture for you. Yes, here we are. Green is traditionally the color of the wood element and is a symbol of spring, the east, health and harmony in China. Green represents life and vitality. I try again. Jade green. Jade exists in many different colors. Has a very high value in China, and temporarily it even exceeded the value of pure gold in China. It's a very difficult color. On the other side, if you know more about the tradition, so many people don't know about that, but in China a man would never wear a green hat, because in the Yuan, Ming and Qing dynasty, green had a very negative connotation. Members of the inferior professions, like singers, actors and entertainers, were required by law to wear green hat covering as a sign of their shame. Later, this was also required of men whose family lived of prostitution. This green hat, you know that the Chinese have their own Catholic church, but they still relate to the Roman Catholic Church. So the bishops tend to have the same clothes, which has a very strict order. But the bishops have, some time of the year, have the red hat on. But in China, even the bishops didn't want to wear the red hat. So they found an agreement with the Catholic Church that they could skip the green face and wear a neutral color hat. That's how important it is. Even for people, you could say it's superstition, but even for people who studied and learned and practiced another religion, it's so important that they would not wear, even not as a bishop, a red green hat. Yeah. Now I'll just come to a very, very interesting topic, which I just will run through in a few pictures, because it's the 55 other than the Han ethnic areas, and which is just too much information if I go into detail in it. I'd start with place in China, Tibet area, where I found an extremely beautiful color symbolism, and where you should definitely, just as short information, never compare this color code of the flags with the color code that we just now spoke about. It's totally different, and it doesn't come from Tibetan Buddhism. It comes from a very old religion, an animistic religion called the Bön religion, that existed even before Tibetan Buddhism came to Tibet. And it's emotions, it's bad emotions, like this one is anger, and can be turned into a good feeling. And you hang it up and you put it out there to go too much into detail again. Stop, I lost myself. You can read more about it in my book or on the next, I'll just show you a few of the pictures that I saw there and how colors are there on display in this area of the country. This is also still Tibet and the Tibetan plateau. I put it away and use my fingers. Sorry to keep you waiting. I want this one. Okay. This is now Inner Mongolia, here on the right side, where the color white is very important. So the yurts are white also. White, there's white, a lot of white, there's a lot of snow there. So white is a very pure and important color in the north. And we go in the south of China, where you find the people that produce the indigo clothes and the indigo color. And there I could tell you for an hour about the indigo, how they produce it and how they beat it to make it shiny. You can see that on the girl's arm of the clothes, how shiny it is. Oops. So they beat it for hours to get these shiny colors. They beat the fabric. Let me try again. It will be easier for not standing in your. This is in the south, on the rice terraces. And we see Sinter terraces again, that's on the Silk Road, going up from the Tiger Leaping Gorge, Shangri-La, to the north, passing beautiful, stunning national parks. You could be in Canada somewhere from the pictures. This is the Rainbow Color Mountains, which only have been recently, like 15 years ago, discovered. Then the Taklaman and Gobi Desert, mysterious salt lakes in the desert. And then we come to an area north of Sichuan, in the middle of China, where the wall reaches its western point, where the dragon, the wall is called the dragon, where the dragon has the end of its tail. And it goes through the whole country to the east, and then the dragon's mouth falls into the sea. So that's how you can picture the dragon going through the country. And we are now in this is a picture taken in the northeast, but theoretically, geographically, on the way up the Silk Road, I just took you now by talking to the center of China, where you find the cradle of China. That's the area that they call yellow cradle of China. And that's the area where the Chinese claim that their country has been born, on the borders of the Yellow River. And it was agricultural people that were focused on a very patriarchal Confucianism hierarchical system, and not seafarers. Not, the country was so big that it was sufficient for itself, not interested in going to other countries and trying to get bigger and larger at that time. It was the mentality of the people was an agricultural, more home-oriented mentality, which is important to understand, where they obeyed the Confucianism, which shaped the mentality of family as a very important value. And still nowadays you have an extreme strong ancestral support and importance, because you have the altars in the homes, and people obey to the parents or follow the rules of the grandparents, even if they don't feel probably very happy with it, but they will do still. They grew up like this and they don't question it. Confucianism is considered a way of finding a way of politics in the family to live together in a harmony way, and they try not to, or they don't dare probably also, because it's so common and so used in every family, to interfere with that. It's not questioned, it's not doubted. Families had to stick together also to survive, and the value of family was very high placed. It's important to understand the Chinese mentality, to look back on this phase. It's only when the Western invaders came into the country that the seafarers started to defend the country and also went for trade into other countries, and that the country opened more towards the West. It's cities like where the terracotta army is, Xi'an and Luoyang. That's the places where they say is the fundamental center, the yellow cradle. Yes. The Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu, he was credited with founding Taoism, and he was, whether he was actually existing or not is disputed, but there is a very important book, the Tao Te Ching, where he describes his totally contradictory view on living together. His philosophy was go with the flow. Try to live in harmony, but don't follow all these strict rules. We can find harmony by enjoying life and not by having to follow any rules. So for him, this color code was not necessary. He said one very, very important sentence, which I want to repeat to you in his book Tao Te Ching. A great artist, without using colored pigments, is able to make a peacock look bright colored and a peach velvety pink, and thus gain a deeper understanding of nature. So he proclaimed that somebody who is able to draw an apple, not in green with a brown stick on it, but just in gray colors, is a much higher artist. And he wanted to give the people room for imaginary, for fantasy, and thus create harmony. That's very short, reduced Taoism, and only the color part of it. But for me, this contrary ideas of Confucianism and of Taoism reflects in Chinese behavior, and that's the essence of what I want to tell you. The Chinese behavior is very much, that's what the Taoist says, influenced by how nature looks around them. These pictures in white and grey and black colors is scenes that you often see in China. When you walk in different provinces, it still looks like this. And that's totally different provinces now, the four pictures there. And you just sometimes find red spots. Like one of this is a picture, the other one is a painting. It's the painting, it's the picture. It didn't change. It's a very old painting, that's a very new photography. And the red spots that you see can be compared to the seals that the painter gave the picture. So the Taoists wanted to compare and the people to live in harmony with what they find around themselves and not give it so many colors. Leave it open, leave it free. And that's exactly also how they were teaching Chinese people to live in a not so regulated way, not being very, they give you a chabu door, that means probably or approximately, but never a clear no or a clear yes or a clear number, to the dread of the Western companies working there and asking for how many pieces can you deliver next month. Maybe that's a very important point always when I talk in the intercultural trainings with the people working in the companies, that in order to understand Chinese people, you need to understand this mentality. And it's not offensive, it's mean to not hurt somebody, but to harmony goes over everything. First comes trust, which you build up with a long meal or a long time to get to know each other. And then only we go to the serious and important topics. But also there you will always be very polite. If she invites me out for dinner here in front of everybody, I would never say no, even if I know I don't have time. I would say yes with pleasure, so she feels happy, everybody feels happy. And then when she goes home, I will write to her, I would apologize, and then I would explain why I cannot. So there is ways of giving a concrete number or an answer, but you just need to find a different way to do that. Harmony stands above everything, even in the 21st century China. Even with AI, there will never be a ground broken for a construction without consulting the zodiac signs of the stars, if it is a positive or good thing to do. So the Chinese way of communication is more indirect method, and it ensures not to offend somebody. And for me, it's the colors who really helped to represent this, to make that clear. And now coming to the end, just scrolling through the last pictures. It's very typical scenes. But nowadays China, don't get me wrong, is still very colorful. You see a lot of colors. You see a lot of colors, but you still, I want you to use the last one. It's not this one.
That bridge is really blue, or is it the lighting?
Pardon?
Is that bridge really blue?
It is. The lighting was like this on that day. It was exactly like this. You'll find extremely creative color representations, very traditional on the left side, and extremely creative. And then here again, going back on just onto historical time in China. So there is a lot of difference today. And although you see a very colorful China, you also find this China very often, and this the colors depending on where you go. And I'm now at the end of the presentation. Just put my name up here. If you want to contact me or buy a book, just be free and ask any questions you want.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Annette. That was super interesting. So I'm sure I'd like to open that up to the audience now to ask questions and for discussion. So, yes, please.
Regarding Taoism, now that's so radical in such a traditional land. Taoism is accepted and widely implemented something. It's so different from Confucianism.
It is, but she's just asking, Taoism is so radically different from Confucianism and how it is accepted. Both run, they even think that Confucius and Laos lived at the same time, but it could never be proved if they really met each other. So, but both influences were dominant in China for thousands of years alongside. And people used them as much as they wanted to use it or as much as they didn't want to use it. But in terms of living together, they found harmony because they are so much looking to find harmony. They didn't fight about it. If a Taoist, very Taoist oriented person would encounter a Confucianist thinking person, they would not fight about it because the Taoists would step back, and also the other one would try to live in harmony with the Taoists. That is exactly the essence that they would avoid the fight. The Chinese rather avoid the fight than go for it and find a way around and find a solution for it. There is even from Lao Tzu in the Tao Te Ching strategies for war, which exactly explains this, how you can avoid fight instead of going into it or being aggressive, even if you're different.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to say something about the extremely different way that they experience things. Because I went on a very unique China tour 11 years ago with a China run firm with a bunch of Germans, my husband. And at the end, we had one young woman who accompanied us the whole way, and she just killed herself to get everything perfect for us. And so we decided at the last dinner that we would buy her a present and thank her, and she began to cry. And my impression was that was all too much for her, and she really hated being singled out that way. It was just normal for us.
Yeah, I'm sure it was difficult for her to accept because it was her work, her job, her duty. She accepted that, even if she gives everything, and she certainly got paid for her work too. So it's not usually don't tip in China, but on these tours, I think she was just overwhelmed with joy and also shy.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure she was really happy. Yeah, I think you did the right thing there.
Okay, so could I just say sort of 5 more minutes for questions and then we have time to buy a book?
A question, is there also influence in modern layout, so internet or modern magazines? I saw the Chinese internet page is very different from Western pages.
Yeah, definitely I would say that. I think the Chinese designers, there is a trend even in the Chinese designers, the young one, to use the old techniques, and they are proud of their cultural, I have the feeling it gets more and more supported, they're proud of their old cultural treasures, and they use the traditional painting and integrate it into their websites and into their design. Whether it is very colorful or more traditional, the variety is very, very big, but it's absolutely visible. Yeah. Margarita, I see you.
I just wanted to know, how come you can't sign your name in red, but you can use red stamps for your seals and things?
Yeah.
Is that the difference between Taoism and Confucianism, or?
No, I just think that the red seal is something traditional that you use, and it's not it's your name, but it's in a different way considered as okay, but not, you wouldn't write it out.
Okay.
Good.
Anybody?
Anybody else before we?
How many years, Annette, did you collect all the impressions to make this beautiful book?
About 10 years.
Wow. So the whole stay as you were in China?
The 10 years where I was in China from 2012 to 2022, and I traveled extensively in China because China has a variety with the high mountains and the tropical sea, with the deserts and the beautiful cold areas in the north. Also, the variety is just enormous, and you don't need to go outside of China if you really want to see like every season of the year. It's a lot to see. Tradition and also modern China is also extremely interesting. So you'll find everything. That's why I traveled a lot. Yes, please.
One last question. I was just wondering, in this modern day of globalization, where the young people are going abroad, studying and working, and then going back to China, do you think that China will be able to maintain these traditions?
Yeah, in my honest just very personal meaning, I definitely think that China will be able to maintain these traditions because it is so much lived. When I was the first year in China, nearly 1 year passed. In April, I started coughing in the car. It was April. The driver, very simple, very nice man, just turned around and said, you don't drink enough. I said, okay, sorry. And then he said, in China, in April it's very dry, there's a lot of wind. You must drink more. So what I want to say is, these traditions are so integrated into the mentality, they're not even discussed. I couldn't ask him why he would say that to me, but his family or his friends or everybody surrounding him, they all just do it. They eat like this. You go in a restaurant, you order some food, different dishes because everybody shares, and then the waitress will just stand there like this, and you ask, everything okay with our order? And she says, no, there's green missing. So we did not order enough vegetable, the color was missing. And it's just so, you can ask them to give the explanation on the wuxing. They probably don't know where it comes from, and how some don't know where it comes from, but it is there, it is lived, and that's what you feel. In the morning when you go into the parks and people dance, or they make Tao, they make the Tai Chi, they make the Qigong, or they have the... When an old man goes to the doctor, you see a lot of old men with the dragons. It's not children, it's what dragons, how do you call them? Kites, with the kites. And I wonder, why is the old man doing this and not the children? Because it's a doctor's prescription. If you cough and you have too much mucus up here, and then you need to get your head back. That's what you do when you go with the kite. It's a doctor's prescription, and it's just so internalized. So when the old men start coughing, another old man would even say the other one, go do some kite, and you feel better. Your sore throat will feel better. It is lived every day, and that, I think, is something. That's why it survived difficult areas, even though the many cultures were destroyed. This common perception and knowledge of well-being and of mentality survived because it is just lived and not questioned. Even Mao, when he said, you destroy everything green, grass is bourgeois, a lot of them did not destroy the beautiful big tree in the center of the courtyard house. They built houses around it and very dense, but they didn't destroy it. That's something where they resisted. It's integrated into mentality. I hope it will survive.
Do you speak Mandarin?
Basic.
Basic.
I just learned it when I was there, but it's very hard.
To what degree are the young people of China influenced by Western thinking, Western ideas about colors?
Question was, to what degrees are the young people of China influenced by Western ideas, also Western colors? I think they're strongly influenced, because I don't think that although there are firewalls and barriers to not reach the internet, everybody now with the special tunnels, VPN tunnels, reaches and gets information from outside. I think that the Chinese people, the Chinese young people are definitely influenced, but they see a lot of positive things in China. They don't see a war going on in their country. You feel much... I'm living in India now since 2.5 years. I'm seeing my daughter in London, or I've been to see my family in Rome. I feel much more threatened when I walk out there. In the 10 years in China, I could walk wherever I wanted. Can't do that in India, in democracy. Can't do that in some places in Rome or in London, where it's just even police doesn't want to go. They see advantage and disadvantage. They see both sides, I think, and they need to take their decisions, definitely, where they want to live. It's a hard thing and a good question. My son was 14 when we moved to China, and after a while he started complaining and said, I don't feel safe when we go back home. China, we're safe. This is safe, but safe also limits security to freedom. It's the relation ratio is interesting and important. So the young people, Chinese young people, they're certainly in conflict with that. But there is a lot of freedom to move around with your ideas, especially artists and writers also, if you do not aggressively attack the government or politics.
Yeah, but this control thing would be another question of mine. I mean, there are these cameras everywhere. And we had a video looking at where a tourist had lost a jacket
in China,
on his way in China, somewhere on his trip. And within a few hours, it was found, and the guy was found who had taken it and was punished. And so that to me showed the two sides of this control business also, you know. How do the young people react to this kind of control?
Well, it's conflicting. It's the ratio of security versus freedom. And you make your own decision what you prefer, where you want to live. I think that's for them the thing to decide. And if they don't, I guess that's what I assume. If you feel that you don't do anything wrong, then I don't mind the camera. If it protects my teenage girl when she goes out in the evening, she's safe. Whereas in other places I can just not, in India I could not let her go a meter alone. Neither can I have a bodyguard when I go on my trips for my photography things. I cannot move around freely. So am I now free in that democracy? No, I'm not free in India, not at all. But I was free in China because I could walk, even though there was the cameras. So it's what is free then? What is freedom? Yeah. And that's the question, the basic one, right?
Laurie.
Do you have any ideas on the population decline and the younger people, especially women, say no, not having a lot of children, I'm not getting married. So what do you think's happening there in the bigger scheme of things now?
About 10, I think, was it 8 or 10 years ago that the Chinese allowed again to have more than one child. And that was interestingly that the numbers did not go up so fast. But they had a very, very good idea then. Very fast they had 1.3 million new children because of the children that before had not been accepted. They were living outside the families and outside the communes where they were supposed to live, where they had the right to live with the grandparents. So they just, obviously the Chinese knew where those children were, and they legalized 1.3 million children. That helped in the first 2 years. But still the young people, as you said, the young women, see they want to work, and they question the fact that the parents decide whom they're going to. This conflict definitely exists. Still, I see a lot. I had Chinese language teachers, a young woman that really had studied and were teaching language, and they needed to go back to their province because the parents called and said, "We found a young man for you." But
so do you see a switch going on with the younger people?
Definitely.
Obviously, from maybe Western influences.
Trying to get more.
That women should have a little more rights and.
Oh, definitely. I think that women have rights in China much more than in other countries. Absolutely. Chinese women are even known for being very tough women, where men don't try to interfere. I think that Chinese women really know what they want and fight for it in all areas, in good and in negative.
Right, one more question before I ask where we're going for lunch. Thank you.
Faith in Asia is so important. Could you tell me how that affected you and the Chinese?
Like face lost, you mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what I meant at the end. I didn't use the word, you're right. At the end of my lecture, when I say you would never give a face loss to somebody. I never got a face loss. I never had the feeling that somebody was in front of everybody was giving me a no or a negative. You get the answer, but you get it in a very soft and in a nice way. That's the answer. If she would invite me in front of everybody, I would not say no to her because then she would lose her face. So you wouldn't do that. And it definitely exists, but that's the challenge. If you want to have somebody to commit, is that a real yes or is it a no? And you very often get this probably answer, and you learn to live with it. Or you ask the person to, could you please repeat what you intend to say to get to the point?
Very interesting. So sorry, ladies, but it's coming to a close. You can still grab the chance. Annette is here, so you can talk to her. But please also use the chance to speak to Elisa and maybe buy a book. And who wants to come for lunch? Who in our team wants to come for lunch? Whoa, 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 whoa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right, 11 people. Right, 11, 12. Gosh. Okay, we probably we have to go to Kennedy's because that's quite a large group. We can't really go to the small place. So let's go to Kennedy's then, please, because both people belong to